Polly wanna crabcur? Welcome back, trainers. I hope you all had an amazing Halloween. You are with PewterCityJim, and today we have two lines of Fakemon to go over. Solah is this channel's Fakemon quest to do our Fakemon best, filling up a region that's in the west. Well, coast, that is. Solah is based off of Southern California and a few of the neighboring locales. Today I'm feeling like some fun in the sun, so let's hang out at the beach. Before that, if you could do me a solid and drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and say hi down in the comments. It's always massively appreciated. Remember, trainers, you are welcome here. Anyway, you might remember back in March I talked about and designed some hybrid Fakemon. Based on the mixing of wild boar and feral domestic pigs, Gruntlet was born. This time we're looking up into Solah's many palm trees and checking out some flying types. A local phenomenon here in SoCal are flocks of parrots. You usually hear them way before you see them. There are a lot of theories about how they got here, as they aren't native. Escaped pets, mass releases by smugglers trying not to get caught with illegally imported critters, the release of birds from the closure of bush gardens in 1979, and even migration patterns of birds changing due to the changing climate. We do know that along with monkeys, parrots were imported via San Francisco as early as the 1850s as pets and status symbols. One way we know this is precisely because they escaped. Exorbitant rewards were often offered for the capture of these runaway birds. Honestly, I think it's a little bit of all of the above that's the origin of these huge flocks. Now, generally, introduced species into a non-native ecosystem is a bad thing, but with these parrots, experts are a bit divided, but mostly lean positive, surprisingly enough. On one hand, they compete with native birds for nesting spaces. On the other hand, they mostly feed on stuff that the native birds don't. The fruit of the date palm, eucalyptus flowers, figs, stone fruit, all introduced plant species that California's native birds don't eat or only eat occasionally. Plus, parrots will, they'll sometimes get eaten by predators who would otherwise be snacking on natives. Really, taking one for the team there, guys. Oof. A lot of these parrot flocks are comprised of multiple species with similar enough behaviors and diets that they get along well. So well, in fact, that some of them get a little extra friendly. The resulting hybrids are folded into the flock, and this mostly happens between red-crowned and lilac-crowned parakeets, as they're the most closely related and commonly found, but a lot of other hybrids have been found and documented. So of course I wondered what might happen in Solah if generations ago the various parrot-based Pokemon formed mixed flocks of their own. This is one of the earliest ideas that I had for Solah, actually, though I was kind of re-energized by playing Pokemon Infinite Fusion recently. Anyway, let's head for some area with palm trees and sea breezes. So, I wanted to settle on exactly what constitutes a parrot-based Pokemon, or one that's close enough that including it felt right. These aren't real animals, and so we can play a little fast and loose with definitions. We got Chatot, of course. Its whole gimmick in Gen 4 was to repeat or parrot a phrase recorded on the DS microphone. Squawkability is clearly a parrot, and it has multiple forms and different colors. So, 2, basically. The minimum number required for a hybrid, but I wanted to create something a little more out there. Chatot and Squawkability also look fairly similar, so there'd be a lot less room to play with design elements. I'm going to include the Natu and Swablu lines here. Natu and Xatu to me have always made me think of green parrots. And according to Bulbapedia, the Kakapo from my own country of origin might have been a design influence. And Swablu makes me think of blue parrotlets or parakeets. Both lines have really neat design elements that can be used in so many neat ways. So I wanted to create a cute little round boy bird. I mean, it's definitely been a successful strategy for Rowlet. Between the backwards facing crest on Chatot, Swablu's fluffy downy cloud feathers, and Squawkability's pompadour, I knew I wanted to give this little guy a haircut. I went for the Edgar. It's a super common hairstyle here in SoCal, and so it would be in Solah as well. The general body shape takes a little from Natu, a little from Swablu, and colors from Natu and Chatot primarily. And here we have Chatta, the tiny bird Pokemon. Chatta are loud, boisterous, and full of life. They often fall from their nests due to their active tendencies. Genetic analysis shows several bird Pokemon present in their ancestry. It's a flying and normal type, as our most cute little bird Pokemon. Abilities are early bird. This ability allows Chatta to always get the worm. It allows Chatta to awaken early from the sleep status condition. Have you ever had a parakeet or cockatiel or any kind of a bird as a pet? They tend to be early risers. Hidden ability is Aerialate. This changes all your normal type moves into flying type ones. Speaking of moves, here they are along with your stats. Nothing super impressive just yet. Most moves revolve around how chatty and rough these puny parrots are. So, One cute little round guy, but we're obviously going to evolve it, right? In terms of proportions, this little guy is closer to Chatot and Squawkabilly. A few more colors with a darker green, a little white, and more wing and tail definition too. Birds are a creature type I always have a little trouble with drawing, even when trying to emulate Pokemon's kind of simplified style. Oh, speaking of drawing, I'm still kind of figuring out Procreate. I just got it and an iPad, so you might notice a few differences in my Fakemon content from here on out. I hope you like it. But anyway, I enjoy this guy's kind of coy expression. That's actually a middle stage, so it's got some of that awkward middle stage energy too. And here we have Gabba, the parrot Pokemon. They eat mainly berries and nuts, but will snack on Yum Bug at every opportunity. They have mild psychic powers and use these to perform synchronized aerial maneuvers as a flock, even with other species of bird Pokemon. Your types of flying and psychic, as mentioned in the Dex entry. Abilities are unchanged from the prior form. Stats and moves are a bit better, not the most significant bump in stats, but you do get a few new moves to play with. Alright, so let's push things a step further. A third evolutionary form. With a larger frame, we can have fun with more detail. The fluffy, downy cloud feathers of the Swablu line, coupled with the stiff curved shapes associated with Xatu. The combination's pretty unique. Combining that with the previously established hairdo and parrot features, you get an interesting creature that doesn't look too much like any of its ancestor species, but you can still kinda see the elements there. And here you have Lauda, the parrot Pokemon. Lauda often lead large flocks of bird Pokemon. Their calls are raucous and can be heard for miles. They can whip up powerful winds to send themselves and their flocks high into the Solah skies. It remains flying and psychic type. Abilities are still exactly the same. Stats and moves increase somewhat. You get a pretty good speedy stat spread with a nice special attack and speed, plus you get some nice moves after evolution. Especially useful if it has that hidden ability, of course. Oh, and a couple of dragon type moves in there as well, just to keep things fresh and allude to that Altaria heritage. So, our next monster is a Pokeball mimic. I've wanted one for Solah for a while, and I finally came up with an idea that I liked. One thing about Solah I've mentioned before is that there's a trash archipelago off to the west. It plays a part in the story, and it's home to at least one species of Solarian Fakemon. It also loses junk in the currents that would wash up on shore. There'd be a range of items that you'd be able to find in the sand. You'd be able to fill a special bag with regular garbage that you could turn in for items and eventually gift Pokemon. You could also find things like Stardust, potions, revives, ethers, incense, escape ropes, and all of this stuff would show up, as most items do, looking like regular Pokeballs. Sometimes, though, those Pokeballs snap back. It's a crab! I love the idea of this grumpy little Pokemon burying itself in the sand except for those big, trickily disguised claws. Once a Pokemon or some other unfortunate beachgoer's hand got too close, that ball would open up and snap close to get on its prey. It's got a mean little expression and scuttly little legs to run around sideways on to avoid predators. The color scheme is very simple, as befits its inspiration. And here we have Duplicate, the snapping Pokemon. It's unknown when this Pokemon started to resemble a Pokeball, but it's believed to have happened recently. It will eat almost anything, so keep your fingers clear. It's a water and dark type with the abilities Arena Trap, the stop foes from fleeing battle, Hypercutter, which means its attack stat can't be lowered, and you have the hidden ability Technician, which powers up some of the weaker moves in Duplicate's arsenal. The name? Well, it's duping you into thinking it's a Pokeball, which it has duplicated in appearance, and those claws are made for cutting. Here are your stats and moves. A decent mix of types, honestly, but centered on water and dark type stab. So where would you find all these guys? Chatta and Gabba would fall out of palm trees when you use the overworld move, Headbutt, and could be found all over the region except in the desert. Duplicate would be available all up and down the coastline and in a couple of spots near larger inland bodies of water. Thanks for checking in, trainers. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to catch you in the next one. But till then, take care. Bye.